Sports Clash Radio with your host, Chad J.C. Martin. Upset City. That is the biggest story coming out of this last week of college football. Chad, J.C., we're talking another wild weekend of college football where it looked like, again, it wasn't going to be just too exciting, but boy, were we wrong on so many levels. We saw what could have been a complete shakeup, but it didn't shake up too much on the top four in the CFP rankings. It did a little bit, but with everything that happened with number 2, 3, 4, I think number 8 went down. 9 went down.
14.
I mean, it was ridiculous how many teams fell, and a lot of these guys fell to unranked teams. They were bad beats. It was insanity. In all, I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I would consider upsets that happened. Duke beats UNC 28-27, and you know a UNC team that we thought was probably going to win pretty handily because they've been playing pretty solid all year, and then they just lay a turd at Duke. I mean, that's just being kind about it. You had really, let's see, Pitt and Clemson. This game was so exciting, watching this thing and watching how it came down. But again, Clemson has everything in their grasp, in their control, and Pitt's been up and down all year. When they play, in their games that they've won, they played solid, good football, and they look dominant. But in the losses, it's just the opposite. It's undisciplined, lots of mistakes. But then they go to Clemson and just show Clemson that, maybe you're not as great as you like to think you are.
And Clemson's been in a lot of these nail biters.
Yes, they have.
Now, granted,
their luck ran out.
Right. Now, they were in the same situation against North Carolina. North Carolina missed the game-winning field goal.
Yep.
Then went to overtime. Clemson won. But Clemson had a good road win against Auburn. Clemson also beat Florida State, so it's not like they're without good wins. They beat Louisville in a really great game. But yeah, a lot of these games, they've messed around and they've let their opponents hang in on them, and it finally came back and bit them.
It did, and they're ranked number 5 in the AP poll now, but they're number 4 in the playoffs. Do you think that's a good spot for them?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Especially with everybody who lost this weekend, the shakeup. And we'll get to some of this in a minute, but I'm just curious as to how that fell. Let's look at Auburn. Georgia actually beat Auburn. Auburn, we thought, was a team that was really coming together. They looked like they were tough and coming together, and they only put up 7 points against Georgia.
It was the first half was a really fun half to watch offensively because both teams were moving the ball at will. Auburn was running the ball well. Georgia was throwing the ball really well. But outside of the one Auburn scored, neither team could really finish off a drive. But then you get into that second half, and Auburn completely abandoned the run game. The run game had worked all game long, in the first half. Come out there in the third quarter, throw the ball, incomplete. Throw the ball, incomplete. Throw the ball, pick 6. And that's how they started the half. They never got one first down in the entire second half of the game.
Sad.
It was always 3 plays, and the pick 6 on that first drive, but after that it was 3 plays and punt. And even though Georgia couldn't really capitalize and get touchdowns in the second half, they were still moving the ball efficiently via their run game.
Yeah.
And they got down there, kicked a couple field goals, and it was enough to give them the win.
That's just, bad things, man. Bad things. Speaking of bad things, Georgia Tech just thumped Virginia Tech. That was 30-20. Louisville had to scrap against Wake Forest in the first half of that football game. Second half,
they scrapped for a little bit.
After the second half was there, it was just not even close.
Then they scored 44 unanswered points.
Yeah, you got ridiculous fast. Ole Miss goes into Texas A&M Kyle Field and beats A&M 29-28 with true freshman quarterback Shea Patterson taking over for Chad Kelly.
As much as I want to say this was one of the most exciting wins of the weekend, it's hard to say that it wasn't Pitt because they knocked off the number 2 team. It's hard to say it wasn't Iowa because they knocked off the number 3 team. It's hard to say that it wasn't USC for knocking off Washington. But none of those teams were going at it. Like
Exactly.
USC jumped out early on Washington and kept the lead. Iowa, they had a small comeback, but that game was pretty close against Michigan the whole time. It's not like there was a lot of scoring going on. And the Clemson-Pitt game was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, the A&M Ole Miss game, Ole Miss is down 15 points going at halftime. They're down 21-6.
The first time they've been down at a half all season.
All season. And so they come back in the second half. Shea Patterson looked like a true freshman in that first half. But he came back looking like the second coming of Johnny Manziel. Hopefully without the Johnny Manziel issues.
Exactly.
But he came out there. He kept plays alive with his legs. He was throwing accurate balls. Of course, he had a lot of help from Fadal Brown, Deontay Anderson, who had the game-sealing interception, who's also a true freshman, and DeMaurice Stringfellow with an amazing one-handed catch. And Van Jefferson had some big plays. So this Ole Miss team, to me, that was the most exciting comeback because they had the largest comeback that they had to overcome.
Yeah. USC, like you said, dominated Washington really the entire game.
And just beat them up.
Yeah, they did. It made Washington look weak right there. Hurt Jake Browning's status when it comes to the Heisman vote because he was right there with Jackson, but not anymore. He's not. Michigan, Iowa, I love that game. Hard-hitting game the entire game. Surprised Iowa beat Michigan. I didn't think that was going to happen. I don't know if anybody's more surprised than Michigan is.
I didn't think that game would be so low scoring.
I didn't either.
Well, I figured 14 points was about right for Iowa. 14-21, but I assumed Michigan would score anywhere from 40 to 60.
Yeah,
so that's what they do.
They look bad, though. They did not play. And give Iowa credit. They fought. It wasn't like they were just out letting Michigan shoot themselves in the foot. Iowa was scrappy. They weren't going out there and just rolling over for anybody. I mean, they did not look like a 5-4 team. And 4-4 going into that game. I mean, that really shot them up pretty substantially. Pretty nice.
But, big shout out to the Colorado Buffaloes. They're keeping this strong season going,
aren't they?
I don't this is my favorite team this year. Not because I actually cheer for Colorado. They're not my actual favorite team. But it's just that team that I'm rooting for. Extremely hard. I want to see them do well, and of course, they had an easy game against Arizona, in the sense that any college football game is easy, but they went out there and they handed it to the Wildcats at Arizona. So, and it's not like, and we know about Rich Rodriguez. We know the success that he's had at various places in his coaching career. But he's having a bad year down there with the Wildcats, and it certainly did not get any easier going against a hot Colorado Buffalo squad.
Oh, I know it. Let's talk about the CFP rankings real quick, just to run them all down. This is 1 through 6. Alabama is number 1. Ohio State has jumped to number 2. You got Michigan's number 3. They really didn't falter after that loss. Clemson fell to number 4. And then you've got Louisville at 5, Wisconsin 6. Man, Louisville's
Washington at 6.
I mean, Washington at 6. I don't know why I said Wisconsin. Looking at the AP poll. But
Wisconsin, I believe, is 7 Wisconsin's 7 and Penn State's 8, if I remember correctly.
What kind of chance does Louisville have of jumping into this top 4?
Clemson has to lose. Clemson has to lose because Clemson owns. Clemson beat Louisville head-to-head.
That's right.
So, Louisville needs Clemson to lose a conference game, and I'm not familiar with Clemson's schedule. I don't know if they have a conference game ahead of them left on the schedule or not. Let's see here.
Well, they play Wake Forest.
Well, that is a conference game. So, if Wake Forest, pulls some kind of crazy upset, which I really do not see happening. That'll give Louisville the opportunity to play for that ACC championship.
Oh, yeah.
But if Clemson doesn't lose another conference game, well, then Clemson's representing the conference in the conference championship, or that one particular division of the conference. They win the conference championship, Clemson's going to stay in the playoff.
It's going to be...
Louisville's they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, they are. Were you surprised Michigan didn't fall at all out of the CFP rankings?
I was, because even though I was an all-right team, they're not great, they're unranked. And usually a top-tier team losing to an unranked team usually drops you quite a bit.
But could you see Louisville jumping over Michigan? Do you think Louisville's a better team than Michigan?
I think as a complete team, I think Michigan's the better team, but I think that has the best player right now. I mean, Louisville's got Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson can just hurt you so many ways. You know, and that's taking into account all the respect in the world that I have for Jabril Peppers at Michigan, but I think Lamar Jackson would get the better of Jabril Peppers.
Well, and it goes back to strength of schedule. It goes back to opponents and things like that. So it's really I can't wait to see Louisville play somebody.
I think Louisville if they were in the college playoff against Michigan, in let's say an opening round matchup, I think Louisville has every opportunity that they could beat Michigan. I think Michigan would be the better team, would probably be the favorite in the matchup.
Yeah.
But it would not surprise me at all for Louisville to win.
How do you feel about Ohio State?
I like Ohio State. I thought Ohio State belonged in this top 2 conversation pretty much all year. Yeah, they had the loss to Penn State, but as we see, Penn State's a lot better than we all thought. Now, Penn State's the number 8 team in the college football playoff. I believe they're 8-1, 8-2. 8-2. They only have one conference loss, I believe.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, if Ohio State beats Michigan when they play, then Ohio State and Penn State would be tied with a conference record, and Penn State would actually win that division of the conference over Ohio State and Michigan via tiebreaker, head-to-head tiebreaker.
Here's what's nice about all that, because you have Ohio State 2, you have Michigan 3. That's going to change.
Yes, that's going to change.
That's going to change when those two meet. One way or the other, we're going to see We're going to see movement still in the CFP ranking. The one thing is, my biggest question is, can anybody challenge Bama?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, watching this team, it's amazing. Year in and year out, this team is so solid and so well coached.
There have been teams this year that have shown that Bama definitely has certain places that if you have the right talent and the right spots on your team, you can match up with this Alabama team and potentially beat them. But where you will never beat Alabama is their depth. Because even when their starters get hurt, you've got 5-star kids coming in there to replace their starters.
Yeah.
So Alabama's just too deep as a team.
And here's the thing, and there's a reason for that. It's because Alabama produces so many NFL prospects. That's where these great players want to go, because they know, one, they're always going to have a shot at a national championship, and two, and probably more important than that to most of these players, is they have a shot at the NFL, a real shot at being seen in a high caliber team. It doesn't always translate that they're going to be great NFL players, but at least you have a better chance when you go to Bama to be seen by these NFL guys with all the pull Saban has and all eyes that are on Bama every year, year in and year out. And I just don't see that slowing down anytime soon, especially with the emergence of Jalen Hurts playing like he's playing. He's jumped up in the Heisman running. I mean, he's up number 3 in the rankings right now in the Heisman ranking.
He's not taken away from Lamar Jackson.
Oh, no, but it's just the fact that he's in the discussion.
Right.
Is impressive for this kid. Speaking of the Heisman watch, you've got, again, Lamar Jackson's right now the clear runaway favorite. But you got Donnell Pumphrey's in there, running back from San Diego State. Jalen Hurts, we talked about. Dede Westbrook, who I didn't know about until you pointed him out to me.
Wide receiver at Oklahoma. This kid is insane. I was born and raised a Texas Longhorns fan, so I try when I can to watch a little bit of Big 12 football, which it's kind of hard in this area, but really what caught my eye was the Red River rivalry game, or Red River shootout, or Red River, whatever they're calling it. But when Oklahoma and Texas played, I mean, Dede Westbrook was everywhere. I think he had 200 receiving yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game, and that wasn't the first time he had done it this season. So this kid, Sterling Shepard for the Giants, the rookie wide receiver. Yeah. He's had a few good games, and he's shown that explosive playmaking ability. Dede Westbrook's of that same mold, so there's going to be some NFL team that takes a chance on him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you see Deontay Foreman, running back from Texas. He's on this list now.
Right. I believe in his last 2 games, he has accumulated 500 or 600 rushing yards.
Yeah,
I think he went for 300, a little over 300 in one game and 250 in another.
Yeah. And here's the thing that you see when you really look at this Heisman watches: the teams that lost, their players dropped. You see it with Jake Browning, Deshaun Watson, who is near the top of this list. You know, these guys, Jabril Peppers, another one. His stock has fallen just because their teams lost, and you know, rightfully so, I guess. If you're going to look at it, but then you look at Deontay Foreman shooting on up there, and he's playing on a Texas team that's only won. Well, they've won 5 games, I guess, but still. So
but it's only 5 games out of a 12-game season.
That's right.
I mean, they've only got 2 games left to play.
Exactly. So you see some guys' stock rising and falling.
But the thing, a lot of the time, especially with the Heisman and with the college football rankings, whether it's the playoff ranking or the AP poll or what have you, is if you're going to lose a game in college football, you better do it early in the season.
Exactly. Don't do it late.
You lose late, it's going to hurt you badly.
That's right.
But it's almost as if you lose early in the season, it's forgivable. That's why you see Ohio State at number 2. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt that they're a really good team.
Yeah,
but you know, they lost kind of midway in the season, and they've fought back since then. And we're going to see what they're made of when they go to play Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge game. Let's get into our pick'em for the week.
All right. I don't even know what to do anymore with this, with all the upsets that we've seen over the last several weeks.
I mean, it's been. I printed this out today and was looking through. I was like, you know, who do I really do? Because as of last week, I lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, and 7 of those were upsets. Had a pretty good week going until that point.
Right.
But let's look at Louisville, Houston. Who do you got?
I'm never not picking against Lamar Jackson.
There you go. Boise State, UNLV.
Give me the Broncos.
Ohio State, Michigan State. Michigan State looks so pathetic.
Right, Michigan State.
I mean, this game shouldn't be close.
Michigan State just got their first conference win last week. It's the longest it's ever taken them to win a conference game since, I think, the 50s. And the only reason it took them that long in the 50s was because they didn't win a game.
There you go.
they went winless.
This is awful. Wisconsin, Purdue.
Wisconsin. Give me Texas A&M against University of Texas San Antonio.
I don't think Texas loses 3 in a row.
Right.
A&M doesn't.
They're not going to lose 3 in a row, and they're certainly not going to do it against the Roadrunners.
Oklahoma State's been on the comeback trail. Do you think they keep that up against TCU?
I don't. I'm actually going to go with the Horned Frogs. Horned Frogs have looked good the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Oklahoma State has not looked that stellar. They had a hard-fought victory this last week, Oklahoma State. But I'm going to give it to TCU at TCU.
Wow. I'm going to Oklahoma State. Maryland, Nebraska.
You've been
dogging on Nebraska.
I've been dogging on Nebraska, saying that they're not that good, but they are good.
Yeah.
They're just not an upper echelon team.
But they're good enough to beat Maryland.
They're good enough to beat Maryland. Maryland's they're not horrible, but they're not that solid by any stretch of the imagination. Nebraska, I think they'll run away with this game.
LSU and Florida. LSU barely hanging in the rankings.
Right,
They've been playing good ball other than the loss to...
They're going to show just how bad Florida is, and they're going to gift wrap the SEC East up for Tennessee, much like Georgia gift wrapped the SEC West to Alabama this past weekend.
That's right. Utah, Oregon...
Utah. There's not enough horrible jersey combinations in the world to save Oregon at this point.
That's right. Indiana going to Michigan, who's going to play pissed off.
Right. I feel bad for the poor soul who gets hit by Jabril Peppers this week.
Too, because Jim Harbaugh's going to have them boys. York, Colorado, Buffalo.
So Washington State looked really good this week, but they are making the trip to Boulder. And you know what? Screw it. The Buffaloes are my boys. I'm rolling with the Buffaloes.
Virginia Tech. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech coming up at a loss.
Yeah, Virginia Tech has had a couple of really questionable losses.
But Notre Dame sucks.
They had the bad loss to Georgia Tech. They had a bad loss to Syracuse.
Yep.
And Syracuse is not good at all. Notre Dame definitely has more talent than Syracuse does. I would like to think that a Notre Dame team is going to have more talent than a Georgia Tech. Justin Fuente finds ways to win. Of course, Virginia Tech's already bowl eligible. But you know what? Give me the Fighting Irish to pull up the upset at South Bend.
Well, there you go. I'm still hanging in
Fighting Irish.
Tech, but we'll see.
Fighting Irish have 2 games to try to get into the playoff, or not the playoff, but a bowl game.
Will they do it?
They need both games to be won. this is a good way to get that started.
Citadel, undefeated, 10-0.
Well,
Going against UNC.
The 10-1 Citadel, because the Tar Heels are about to spank that booty.
Yeah, I think Tar Wheels are going to be angry too after this last one. Tar Heels. FSU, Syracuse.
Give me the Seminoles.
All right, the Buffaloes against.
Yeah, what is Buffalo's mascot? Is Buffalo's mascot the Buffaloes? Like they're the Buffaloes?
I guess so. I mean, really creative.
Yeah, that's incredibly original.
That's probably why they're 2-8 because they have no imagination at all. So give me Western Michigan, who's undefeated, 10-0.
Hey, but I'll give Buffalo props, man. They produced Khalil Mack, and he's balling out for the Raiders right now.
He is doing that.
But yeah, we're gonna roll with Western Michigan.
All right, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, 8-2.
Yeah, well, they're about to be 8-3
because it's going to Bama.
Right, no one's stopping Alabama.
Clemson, Wake Forest. Clemson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson's going to find a way. That's because, let's get something straight about that Pittsburgh loss for Clemson last week. Deshaun Watson played out of his mind.
Yes, he did.
I think he threw for 580 yards. Granted, he threw 70 passes, which is absurd. He should not have had to do that at all.
I can't believe he even lifted his arm this week.
But he did have a terrible, terrible, terrible interception at the end of the game, which set up that win for Pittsburgh. So I think Deshaun Watson's going to come out here and try to show NFL scouts that he is capable of doing the job.
There you go. Arkansas, Mississippi State.
I think Mississippi State's a train wreck. Of course, they're going to play hard. They did beat Texas A&M, but then they turned around and immediately got smoked by Bama. They're still going to be licking their wounds. Arkansas wins.
Oh, there you go. ASU, Washington.
Arizona State, I'm sorry, but Jake Browning and these boys are going to be highly upset. They're back at home.
Catching these teams after a tough loss is not good for some of these other teams. It's not even good for them. Auburn against AAMU.
What is an AAMU?
I have no idea.
Alabama A&M, I'm guessing?
I guess so.
Alabama A&M University.
It's a lot of letters.
Yeah, give me the Tigers.
Yeah.
They can, Sean White's obviously hurt. His throwing shoulder's not right. We saw that against Georgia in the second half last week.
They're not going to need it against.
They're not going to need it. Auburn's just going to hand the ball to every running back they have and let them run wild.
Yeah. Penn State, Rutgers. Penn State, the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, Rutgers is a train wreck right now. So let me go with James Franklin.
Oklahoma, West Virginia. Playing in West Virginia, so.
I want West Virginia to win because, one, I hate Oklahoma, and two, they have their young running back, Justin Crawford, who played his junior college football in our town of Senatobia, Mississippi at Northwest Mississippi Community College. Won the national championship last year with them. I want West Virginia to win. But, man, Baker Mayfield and D.D. Westbrook are a formidable team. And that's not even... And we can't forget about Samaje Perine, who does hold the college record for most rushing yards in a game. I think Oklahoma's going to win this one on the road.
All right. Lastly, USC, UCLA, SC.
Trojans. The Trojans are going to... I mean, it's insane how badly they started this season. And they've completely turned the ship around. And the Trojans are hot. Trojans outside of Alabama, USC might be the single hottest team in football right now.
Yeah, they showed that last week. So we know that there's going to be some upsets going on. There's no way these picks that we picked this week, as much as we were pretty confident in a lot of them.
I picked upsets. I don't want to hear it.
But to me, some serious upsets in the making. There's going to be some teams on here that lose. I'm not sure who that. And honestly, I mean, the Oklahoma-West Virginia game could be either way. I mean, that can go both ways.
And the same with the Colorado-Washington State game as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of these that won't be considered upsets, even though technically with a one higher ranking you could say that, but it's really not going to be. It's, apples and oranges when it comes down to a lot of that. To me, an upset would be, like you said, the Fighting Irish knocking off Virginia Tech. That could be an upset to watch for this weekend.
TCU knocking off Oklahoma State to become bowl eligible.
That could be another one
to watch.
If they do, then that's going to be amazing. But as far as the top four goes, or actually the top six, Houston could do something. I doubt it, but if you're going to look for one, maybe look for that. I don't see it. I think Louisville is playing with a purpose, especially after they have really come out talking about they know they have to score lots and lots of points and beat their opponents thoroughly to be taken seriously.
With Louisville and Houston, they play a very similar style of offensive football. The problem is that defensively, or offensively and defensively, Louisville's got the bigger, stronger, faster players.
That's right.
Than Houston does. So even though they played the same way, Louisville is going to have the advantage because they had the athletes to successfully pull off that style of play. And I think that's why they're going to have no problem shutting down Houston.
There you go. All right, well, guys, that's all the time we have for this week. Hope it's another exciting weekend of college football. It was great last weekend.
Right, I'm just constantly losing my mind.
I know, all day long, because I really thought it's going to be kind of ho-hum all day long. And I only had a couple of games I was really going to watch. And all of a sudden, I'm just flipping channels trying to find the games to keep up with everything. It was fun. It was kind of awesome. So we're out of here. We'll see you later. Can't wait to see what happens this week, guys. If you agree with us, you don't agree with us, let us know. Visit our page, patreon.com/SportsClash. You can follow us on Facebook at Sports Clash Radio, Twitter, Sports Clash Rad. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us there. Give us your feedback. Do you agree or disagree with our pick'ems? Let us know how you feel. We appreciate you tuning in, liking, sharing our stuff, getting out there, finally building our audience. We appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.